Well, are they? I'll pose that question to you in a bit here. And I'm talking all competitions, by the way. Maybe you're more partial to Juventus? Oh yeah, and I'm Adrian, and welcome to another Champions League roundup video from Rabona TV. By the end of this, you'll be an all-knowing being in regards to everything that's happened during this past week of Champions League matches. Past 2 days, more like. So, let's do it. We'll start in Group A with Thierry Henry as he tried to grab a victory in his second match as the Monaco coach, and his first match as a coach in the Champions League. Well, could he find the first win for Monaco since the 11th of August? No. Monaco did manage to get a point away to Club Brugge, thus snapping Monaco's run of 5 consecutive losses, but hey, baby steps, people. Baby steps. Now, in the other match, Borussia Dortmund played host to Atletico Madrid, easily the biggest matchup in Group A that everyone had been waiting for since the groups were drawn back in September. Now, Atletico Stadium, the Wanda Metropolitano, will be host to the Champions League final, and if they want to make it, then you get the feeling that they will need to be way better than they were against Dortmund last night. Sure, the first goal they conceded was a bit unfortunate due to Witzel's strike taking a nasty deflection, but the collapse that we saw from Atletico in the last 20 minutes is something that we have literally never seen before while Atletico have been managed by Diego Simeone. And at the heart of it all was Real Madrid loanee Achraf Hakimi, who got a hat-trick of assists setting up Witsel, Guerrero, and Jadon Sancho. The latter was close to being offside, but in the end, the linesman made the right call. 4-0. The heaviest defeat that Diego Simeone's Atletico Madrid has ever suffered. A deficit they haven't been on the wrong end of since 2011, under Gregorio Manzano. But credit has to be given to this young Dortmund side who are flying under Lucien Favre at the moment, as they are still yet to lose a match this season across all competitions, winning 6 consecutive matches and scoring 26 goals in that time frame, and conceding just 5. So, best team in Europe in this moment or not? Have your say in the comment section. And in case you were wondering, yes, this was a full-strength Atletico team. So, Dortmund are one of 3 teams who remain perfect so far with 3 wins from 3, as they sit also 3 points ahead of Atletico in the standings, while the battle for the Europa League spot is alive and well between Monaco and Brugge. There was a big boy matchup in Group B as Inter traveled to the Camp Nou, but that's about all they did, was travel there, as they unfortunately didn't really show up otherwise, as they got dominated by a Messi-less Barcelona. But Barca has weapons everywhere, and they put them to use, with Suarez playing an absolute peach of a ball over the top for Rafinha to put one past the team he spent a few months on loan at. In the second half, Jordi Alba finished off Inter. He's been involved in 4 goals already in this UCL season. 3 assists, 1 goal. In the other match in Group B, Tottenham away to PSV, Hugo Lloris made yet another mistake. Great shot stopper, man, but he is making mistakes far too frequently in the past couple of seasons. Hell, far too frequently in the Champions League alone this season. Remember the last match day against Barcelona? Well, this time, with his team leading 2-1, he came flying out to attempt to slide tackle Chucky Lozano, made a complete mess of it, and got himself sent off. Tottenham played the rest of the match a man down, and PSV found an equalizer. It really made no sense. There was absolutely no need for Lloris to come rushing out like that. I've never seen a keeper who believes that they are a sweeper keeper more wholeheartedly than Lloris, yet make more mistakes in doing so than any other sweeper keeper. Anyway, Lozano was incredible for PSV, and you gotta wonder how long he will stick around in the Netherlands. I mean, he's gotta go elsewhere next summer, no? He won't stay another season after this one, will he? So, with that said, Barcelona are as perfect as Dortmund on 9 points. Inter is 3 behind them. Hey, wait a minute! It's the exact same as Group A. They copied each other's answers. Group C, my man, as the Reds beat up on the Red Stars in the David Vujanic derby. Mohamed Salah scored a brace, taking his goal tally at Liverpool up to 50 goals in just 65 appearances. Incredible. That's a new record for the least amount of matches necessary to reach 50 goals for Liverpool. A record that has stood for 71 years. And he didn't just break it, he smashed it, as the previous record was 50 goals in 77 matches. That one ended 4-0, easy peasy as they say in the Rocket League chat. When they're beating me. No. You know I smash. The other match was where it was at, as we saw 2 incredible goals, one from Insigne with his scoop over the onrushing Areola, and one late one from Angel Di Maria that was just vintage Di Maria stuff. That guy's always got a banger in him. 2-2 was the final in that one as well, as Group C is looking tight, man. Liverpool on 6 points, Napoli on 5, and PSG on 4. By the way, PSG now has to go away to Napoli, which you'd never wish on anyone, so there's a decent opportunity for Liverpool and Napoli to really pull ahead of the pack here in the next match day. And speaking of tight groups, Group D may not be filled with the titans of European football, but it certainly is making for great viewing. Well, unless you chose to watch Galatasaray versus Schalke, which ended 0-0. No fun to be had there goals-wise, as Mbolo had one ruled out for offside and another cleared off of the line. So yeah, I mean, not much to really talk about there, but in Moscow, FC Porto came to ruin things for Lokomotiv. The third-placed Portuguese team took on the fourth-placed Russian team, and despite Lokomotiv putting one past Casillas, they will forever be wondering about what could have been if Manuel Fernandes hadn't failed to convert a penalty in the 10th minute. That's a bad way to get a match started for your team. The penalty for Porto in the 26th, a little soft, but I think the correct call was made in the end, and Marega dispatched it perfectly. Take notes, Manuel Fernandes. It ended 3-1 in favor of the visitors, who actually top the table now, while Lokomotiv are just sort of along for the ride, no pun intended, with 0 points. They look in danger of pulling a Benfica from last season. Hey, speaking of which, Tuesday's matches in Group E saw Bayern travel to Greece to take on Ajax, while Ajax hosted Benfica. Big Lasai there. In fact, let's start there. Benfica and Ajax played to a relatively even first half, but in the second, I think it's fair to say that Ajax were the better team, or at least had the more quality chances, and all of that chipping away finally broke through the Benfica defense, and thus broke my heart. When Nusser Mazraoui smashed in the winner after Conti had just cleared off the line moments before. Honestly, either Vitória needs to change real quick or he has to go at the end of the season. That's now 5 matches that we've lost from our last 6 Champions League matches that have been played away. Absolutely pitiful. So, where did that leave us? Would Ajax get a surprise win against a Bayern squad that hasn't really been incredible this season? No, they wouldn't. But Bayern didn't look that great once again, as it took them until the 61st minute to take the lead thanks to a 2-goal blitz in 2 minutes, meaning they came out on top 2-0 and also sit atop the group alongside Ajax with an identical record, 7 points each, 5 goals for and 1 against. I mean, it's not over yet, as Benfica can make things very interesting with a win over Ajax in the next match day, but I'm not exactly filled with optimism. In Group F, Hoffenheim succeeded in tying things up not only on the scoreline against Lyon, but in the race to have the most high-ish scoring draws, as they are now level with Shakhtar with 2 draws each. In this match against Lyon, the hosts twice took the lead, only for Lyon to claw them back each time, and Memphis Depay put the visitors ahead 3-2 in the 67th minute. By the way, that was also the first time that they had managed to score 3 goals away from home in the Champions League since 2011. But Joelinton made it 3-3 in the 92nd minute after the ball was cut across the 6 perfectly for him to tap in. So, Hoffenheim are still looking for their first win in their Champions League history and currently sit 3 points behind Lyon. So a win away to Lyon on November 7th, and things are looking tasty there as far as a race for the top 2. In the other match, Manchester City went away to a Shakhtar squad that is largely depleted of talent after they lost Bernardo, Fred, and Facundo Ferreira from last season, and it really showed, as City dominated this one as far as chance generation goes, and, of course, on the score sheet. Last season, they were a little more even. The 3 players that scored for City in their 3-0 win are 3 players that you could make arguments for being City's player of the year so far, with David Silva opening things up, Aymeric Laporte getting the 2nd, and Bernardo Silva scoring the 3rd after he had been on the pitch for a matter of seconds. And with that win, City sit atop the group with 7 points while Lyon are tight on their tail. Lyon are undefeated, my man. In Group G, CSKA Moscow looked to build upon their surprise victory over Real Madrid from the previous match day with another surprise victory, this time over AS Roma. It was always going to be tough though, as under Di Francesco, Roma are unbeaten at the Stadio Olimpico in the Champions League. And, well, that unbeaten run continued as AS Roma strolled to a relatively routine 3-0 win against the Russian club. Dzeko's incredible form in the competition continued as he netted a brace and then set up Under for the 3rd. Dzeko is killing it for Roma, by the way, as he's been involved in 7 goals in his last 4 matches. And if you include for both club and country in competitive matches, he's been involved in 9 goals in 5 matches. 8 goals, 1 assist. And speaking of CSKA's surprise win over Real Madrid, Los Blancos tried to move past that this week and were handed an opponent that fit their desires as they hosted the minnows of Europe, Victoria Plitzen. Sergio Ramos hit the post early on, but minutes later, Karim Benzema rose well to bullet a header in. That ensured that he has scored in every single one of the last 14 Champions League campaigns, which is impressive. Marcelo then coolly dinked the ball over the keeper in the 55th minute, making it 2 goals in 2 matches for him now, but things got a little spooktober for Real Madrid in the closing minutes of the match as Patrick Rosowski made it 2-1 in the 79th. Plitzen also missed some decent chances, so again, Madrid didn't exactly look all that convincing in this one, heading into their Clasico matchup on the weekend. But that was their first victory in 6 matches, you gotta start somewhere, right? And so, with Madrid and Roma winning, they reclaimed the top 2 spots from CSKA, with Roma currently leading on goal difference after they drubbed Plitzen 5-0 at home. And finally, in Group H, Valencia keep on Valencia-ing as they played to yet another draw. Man, that's 9 draws from 12 matches. These results ain't it. And if you watched the other match, United versus Juventus, then you would have been hard-pressed to tell which team was the home team in this one, as Juventus came to Old Trafford and had a far too comfortable run out, coming out on top 1-0 thanks to a goal from Paulo Dybala. That was Dybala's 5th Champions League goal in his last 4 appearances, which is massive. A massive improvement on his 5 from his last 24 appearances. Mourinho strangely didn't make a single substitution. I mean, I guess there wasn't really boatloads of quality on the bench, to be honest, and his favorite plan B, Fellaini, is injured. But still, the optics of that are kind of strange. United showed no real urgency. They didn't harry the Juventus players enough, and in general just made things far too easy for Juve, who will be overjoyed with a 1-0 win away to United in a game where, if you had offered Allegri a point from the outset, in his Italian brain, he probably would have taken it. Then again, this isn't the United of old, so I'm sure Juve was heading into this one pretty confident of a win. And so that loss at home means that United had lost 4 of their last 13 matches at Old Trafford, which according to Optajo is as many home defeats as they had in their last 81 matches. And let the record stand that the last English side to defeat Juventus in Europe was Roy Hodgson's Fulham into the 2009-10 Europa League season. Do you remember that? When Fulham were down 3-1 on aggregate after the first leg and ended up 5-4 winners? Yes, that's the last English club to defeat Juventus to this day. Incredible. And so yeah, Juventus is at the top of the table. Easy. 9 points from 3. And hey, aside from that, I think you're completely up to date on everything that happened in the Champions League this week. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did, and if you did indeed, then be sure to drop a like for me, and let's talk in the comments section. My name's Adrian, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, which will be on Monday, but it won't be a weekend recap, because I'm going to Portland, remember? I'm gonna go see Arctic monkeys. Peace!